Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the South Florida Tribune podcast. My name is Scott Morganroth, and I am the Motor City Madmouth, and I am pleased to be joined by Marty Fishman, business broker with Transworld Business Advisors in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, business sales specialist and certified business intermediary. And Marty, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. So, Marty, let's give us a little bit of an overview about what you do. Tell us a little about Transworld Business Advisors and yourself. What do you do?
Okay, well, Transworld Business Advisors is a business brokerage firm, and we've been around for about 41 years. We help business owners sell their business. We help buyers buy. We've sold over 10,000 businesses. We have 9 offices in Florida, and about 10 years ago, we knew we were really good at the business brokerage business. And we franchised Transworld Business Brokers, and we now have about 150 offices throughout North America and Europe, and 500 agents and about 500 listings and access to about 5,000 business listings for sale. Myself, I joined Transworld in 2003, so I'm 17 years in with Transworld Business Advisors. I'm a member of the Business Brokers of Florida. I'm a member of I'm accredited as a CBI, which is a certified business intermediary with the International Business Brokers Association, and I am a shareholder with Transworld Business Advisors. I sell businesses. I sell small, medium, large businesses in varying industries from A to Z.
Well, so it's safe to say, Marty, that when they're dealing with you, they're dealing with a wealth of experience in this business, and we're talking about a big fish in a big pond here, aren't we? Because those numbers are pretty high.
Well, we're just really good at the business brokerage business. When a business owner wants to sell, they come to a business sales specialist like Transworld and myself. We help them organize and package it and help facilitate the transfer of ownership and help them realize a successful transaction.
All right, so tell me, Marty, why do business owners sell if they have such a good business?
Well, that's a great question. Typically there are 4 questions every buyer prospect asks a seller when they're looking at a business to buy. Number 1 question, if your business is so good, why are you selling? Number 2, how much money does your business make? Number 3, what's the upside potential of this business? I mean, am I going to be able to sustain this business post-sale? And number 4, I love this question, Scott, how the heck did you come up with that sale price? So back to question number 1, if the business is so good, why are you selling it? Well, there are some real life reasons why business owners sell their business. I mean, it's retirement, disability, health, death, relocation, partnership issues, divorce. It could be money issues. They don't have money to grow their business. They don't have a certain skill set to take their business to the next level. They could be at a point in their business where, do they really want to invest money into marketing, advertising, staff to grow the business? Or maybe they've got into a different business over their years of business and don't have time to run the business. So, typically people aren't buying bad businesses. So there's a real life reason why a business owner is selling their business. Number 2, how much money does this business make, which is a legitimate question. A business owner is going to have to validate their revenue streams, where they're making their money, how much money they make, their cost of good, who their vendors are, so they can identify, what are their gross profit margins in this business. And they're going to have to validate their operating expenses, because at the end of the day, a buyer wants to know, how much money does your business make? How much money am I going to make as a purchaser of the business? So it's a great question, and buyers get to do a due diligence once they've struck a deal with the seller, and they can really go through the books and records and find out how much money that they're going to make. Number 3, what is the upside potential of this business? All buyers want to know that the business that they're buying is sustainable and it can withstand the pressures of transference. And they want to know that this business has greater capacity, that there's an upside potential to the business. So that's a real question that buyers ask. And number 4, geez, I love number 4 is, a lot of times I ask a seller, how the heck did you come up with that sale price? Well, that's what I want. That's what I think I should get for the business. There is actually some science and some art that goes into pricing a business. So when you take a look at a business, we have access to thousands and thousands of businesses that have sold, whether they've earned the same amount of money or they're in the same industry. So there is a science to it. And businesses are really going to trade for, a multiple of what the owner makes. In some cases, it could be a percentage of revenues, or in some cases, it could be just, return on investment. But most businesses are going to trade for, what similar businesses in their industry have traded for in terms of volume and how much money that they make. So there's a science and an art, and so that's just not a price that's plucked out of thin air. I hope that answers that question. A little long-winded, but that's kind of the answer to those questions.
Oh, please. What people want in this broadcast, Marty, they want details, because I expect everybody that watches this broadcast to have a notepad and a pencil and paper and take some notes. That's what this is all about, educating what we're doing. So would you say that, you're talking about a life-changing event? That's usually the stimulus that gets everything sold?
Yes, it's a life-changing event. That's a good way to put it. I mean, once again, going back to, why they're selling a business. I mean, once again, that retirement, relocation, health, disability issue, death issue, partnership issue, those real life reasons why they're selling the business.
So do you also, is there a capital gains tax that usually goes along with a transaction such as this? So if you're turning into a pretty good profit, I would assume, let's face the reality, the government wants their piece of the action.
Well, I am not a CPA, but there are capital gains taxes realized, but you can't get away from paying taxes. You can work with your CPA, and you can work on the best way, and I can guide you to ask your CPA on some tax avoidance, processes that you might do or tactics you might take. But the bottom line is, when you make money, you have to pay taxes.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what that Uncle Sam wants his piece of the action for sure, and he'll get it one way or the other. All right, so let's talk about how long does it take to usually sell a business, Marty?
Well, Scott, that's a great question. How long does it take to sell a business? I mean, there are a number of factors that most Main Street businesses, take, about 9 months. I've sold businesses in 2 weeks. I've sold businesses, and it's taken me 2 years to sell a business. So some of the factors that are going to take place are the price and terms, how much a business is selling for, and the terms, how it's structured. A business that's selling for, I don't know, maybe, $700,000 or $800,000, and they're wanting all cash for the business, and the business isn't really financeable, which I'll talk about in a moment. But, price and terms are really going to dictate. It might take a while to find that person who has enough money if there's no seller financing involved or no lender financing involved. And once again, depending on who the business owner is working with, when you're working with a business broker, a professional business brokerage firm like myself and Transworld Business Advisors, we have a lot of marketing outlets, and I'll talk about how we do confidentially and professionally market businesses for sale. But we do have a marketing expertise. We're aligned with a lot of websites that promote businesses. We have a data bank of buyers that are in over 10,000 buyers over the years, probably tens and tens of thousands. So we do have a lot of marketing expertise, and that once again will come into play on how long it may take to sell a business. I'm working with, in my firm in the state of Florida, I've got 80 brokers that I'm working with that are in my network that have been over the network of Transworld, and there's hundreds and hundreds of brokers that are in that network that have a look at the businesses that I have for sale, and that could shorten up, the time to sell, because we're all working with buyers and they're looking for good businesses for sale. We also cooperate with other business brokers throughout the state and throughout the country. And I talked a little bit about, the availability of seller financing and third-party financing. When a business is priced at over $250,000, buyers look to leverage and use a part of their money. So they're going to, is the seller going to offer some seller financing? Is the business going to qualify for lender financing, a SBA a program? So it's really important that there's some leverage and the availability of financing to some degree. Then, a lot of times, you go back to how much money does your business make, and you're going to incorporate some professionals on your team, and each team is going to work with a CPA. They're going to work with attorneys, and the availability of those professionals, the CPA to do the due diligence, to verify the numbers for a buyer, and once again for the seller to pull those reports and make sure they have those tax returns and profit and loss statements and balance sheets and other reports that would be needed, that would be then produced and provided by a CPA. And the third, and one of the other things that will determine how long a business may take to sell is the number of third parties involved. In the sale of a business, you're going to be dealing with landlords, attorneys, lenders, regulatory agencies, and so forth. And once again, it's the responsibility or the responsibility of a business broker, once again, to quarterback a deal and coordinate, because I can talk to all parties, but once again, it's like herding cats sometimes to get a deal to the goal line. And the goal, once again, is to get a deal to the goal line and realize a successful transaction. So once again, that can take some time, going back from pricing to financing to working with third parties. I hope that answers that question as thoroughly as can be.
Excellent. All right, so what is the process in approaching the sale of a business, Marty?
Well, at Transworld and in my practice, we do use a process. So, when I meet with a business owner, I'm going to do a pre-business sale preparation. I'm going to take a look at the business's financials. I'm going to take a look at their operation. And I know how to ask the questions and look for the nuggets of the gold in the financials, and to look at the operation and ask the questions to make sure the business is going to be represented on a normalized basis. I mean, you could have a husband and wife in the business, and both are doing two very separate roles. But when they exit the business, both of them are going to be leaving the business. And when a buyer comes in, it's going to be one buyer that's coming in. So once again, you have to normalize the business for one owner operator. So there's a lot of skill set that goes into the pre-business preparation, and then from there you're going to go into an analysis and review of the marketplace pricing to make sure you're in line with the marketplace, because you don't want to go and take the business to market that's way high or way too low. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do and I talked about this a little bit, the confidential and professional marketing. When you take a business to market, you're not going to put a sign out in front of the business or expose the name of the buyer. You need to do it confidentially and professionally. We have the vehicles and the network to do that, because you don't put that sign out, because that would be disruptive to the running of the business. And we talk a lot of times, and I'm sure you'll ask me, why do you need a business broker? Because once again, it's important that a business owner be able to run their business, continue to run their business, and even grow their business as they're going through the business sale process. So once again, professional and confidential marketing. You also want to be able to, a business broker like myself is going to be screening, buyers to make sure that they have the qualifications, both with a skill set and education, and once again, that they have funds. And then when it comes to accounting and finance and legal, you want a business broker that can streamline those things and work with the right parties. Once again, streamlining financials, accounting, and the legal aspects of selling a business. And then, once again, once you get to a deal, you need someone who's versed in negotiations, buyer-seller negotiations, because it is a negotiation. Buyers want to pay as little as they can for a business, and sellers want to get as much money as they can for the business. So, it's handling the negotiation, and that's a skill set alone, and always trying to do a good deal for good people. And then finally, one of the last process is pre-closing process. making sure that all the paperwork is in line, that the attorneys have the right closing documents, the landlords are in line, the lenders are in line, licenses are in line, and with the right timeline and the right paperwork. So that's really what it means when going through the right process.
So let me ask you, during these times right now, do you find yourself doing a lot more Zoom meetings and more virtual to try to get in front of people? Because obviously these are certain unprecedented times.
Well, I mean, Zoom has really come into play. It's made it easy to bring buyers and sellers together, and to really, because they say in communication, the written word or the spoken word is only part of communication. Then you're going to have the tone of the conversation, and you're going to have body language, and those are also important too. And at the end of the day, a buyer is going to really have to like the seller, and the seller is going to have to like the buyer, because once again, there are things that are going to, post-sale is their transition, the familiarization. And once again, if they're working together, sometimes sellers stay on board with sellers because they're phasing themselves out. So you want to have a good relationship, and the Zoom has really been a real welcome tool to use. And in regard to COVID, we're safe. Any meetings that we do, we're socially distancing, wearing masks. But sometimes you got to go on property and show a business. And once again, sometimes you want to meet, but you do it in the right, safe environment.
Okay. All right. So what are the top reasons a business won't sell?
Top reasons why a business won't sell. Well, there are a number of reasons why a business, may not sell. Poor record keeping. I mean, if you have lousy books and records, you just can't say, I don't know. I mean, do you keep QuickBooks? Is there some record keeping there? Because they want to look at your history. They want to look at your current condition, because that's really an indication of the future. Another reason a business might not sell is because the business is all about the individual selling. There's no management in place. There are no salespeople in place. The business starts and ends with the seller. So once again, when you're going to sell that business, and you're exiting and a buyer's coming in, can the business withstand the pressures of that transference? So lack of management might be a reason a business doesn't sell. Another reason maybe the seller has an over expectation of the value of their business. It's called overpricing. And once again, a business broker comes into value when helping determining the right selling price. But sometimes, a business owner wants to sell. They're tired, and it's the real life reason why they want to sell, but they need X amount of money, but the marketplace isn't really in line with that. But overpricing would be a reason why it wouldn't sell. And not budging from the facts and the comparables that would go along with validating a certain sale price. Another reason would maybe be a misrepresentation of facts. You got to get the facts straight, and they've got to be true. And that's a reason. Under address weaknesses, saying, oh, this is not an issue, when then they're major issues. Maybe it's a relationship with a supplier, maybe it's a relationship with a customer. So you have to talk about, and I'm a big fan of addressing weaknesses up front and mitigating them, because if they're real weaknesses and they're real issues, it's better that a buyer knows that up front when they're going through the process, opposed to finding that out, because then they'll lose trust going through the process. Another reason a business owner might not sell, well, a buyer might misrepresent how much money they have or their access to it. So you have to make sure that they have the funds, to make this acquisition. And once again, they might make a misrepresentation of their skill set and their education. Because once again, a seller saying, listen, this is the skill set that I have, this is the activities, the role, and the expertise that I bring to the business, and a buyer coming on is going to have to be able to have those same skill sets, education, and or maybe licenses to take over the business. So if they don't have them, once again, they may not be able to, realize a successful sale. So once again, and another reason the business may not sell is that you have unqualified, uneducated buyers going through the process. They heard this, they heard that. I got to tell you, an educated buyer will realize a successful sale. And the more educated a buyer is, the more likely they are to buy a good business. So I hope that answers why, some businesses just don't sell.
All right. Well, with that said, okay, why does a business owner need or want a business broker like yourself to sell their company?
Well, that's a good question. I think it would go to maintaining confidentiality. Once again, finding that buyer that's willing to buy, the ability to package the information, to allow a seller to continue to operate the business, because once again, buyers are going to, keep on, poking. They're going to be asking for information. Controlling the flow of information is what you have to do. Taking a business broker who knows how to look at the financials and recast and adjust the financials to show a true representation of the financial picture. We have, once again, valuation knowledge because we have access to good data. We understand, how to value goodwill and once again, how to, the difference between, tangible and non-tangible assets, clarifying what is being sold. Once again, our ability to coordinate with landlords and CPAs and attorneys and insurance agents and lenders and merchant services and people like that. We just have a better understanding of the issues and the process that goes along with the sale of a business.
Okay. All right. So Marty, when is a market right to sell?
When is it a good time to sell? Well, I think that there has to be personal preparedness. The individual has to have, sat down with himself and his or her family and said, this is, what am I going to do, post sale? Am I going to go into another business? Totally, because once again, a buyer doesn't want a seller going into the same business. They're going to have to agree to a non-compete, non-solicit. But, are they ready to retire, or are they ready to do something totally different? So they have to be personally prepared to sell the business. Then there also has to be business preparedness. Once again, is the business, is the books and records there? Do you have the history, the records from the history? Is the current condition of the business good? Is the business poised to go into the future? It's often said that buyers pay for the past, but they buy for the future. So the business preparedness. And once again, the market preparedness. Is it a buyer market, a seller market? So you have to have those three things in line for you to realize, a successful sale.
Okay. What advantages can one expect when choosing Marty Fishman to sell their business? This is an opportunity for you to sell yourself. Why do they want to go ahead and call Marty Fishman?
Well, once again, experience. I've been doing this for 17 years. I've sold almost 200 businesses, almost $50 million in businesses, small, medium, and large businesses in varying industries. And I mean it from aviation to X-ray machine type businesses and everything in the middle, service businesses, medical businesses, wholesale businesses, distribution businesses. So I've really worked with a number of different industries and size businesses. And if I haven't, once again, you go back to the process of selling business and or my firm. We have selling here just in Florida, we sell 350 businesses a year. And we have very good records and we have other brokers that we can bring into the deal that maybe have sold a particular type of business. I have other brokers come to me. I've sold a number of security alarm businesses, medical, home health businesses, contractor businesses, air conditioning businesses, a lot of restaurants, distribution businesses. So I've sold a lot of businesses. So that's an advantage of working with me. I'm experienced. One thing I'll say about myself is that I'm very accessible. When you call me, I'm going to take your call, or if I can't, I'm going to get back to you very quickly, usually within an hour or two or three. If it's not within an hour or two or three, it's going to be by the end of the day, always within 24 hours. I'm very accessible. I take pride in getting back to the buyers and sellers and answering questions and solving problems. So some other people, they may not get back to you so quickly, whether they're not in it full time. I'm in it full time. I'm working 50 hours a week as a business broker. I'm I'm a member of the, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I'm a member of the Business Brokers of Florida. Education, I'm a member, I'm accredited with the International Business Brokers Association. I have talked at varying CPA meetings and financial advisor meetings on the process of selling businesses and why businesses sell, how to sell business to get the most money possible, to understand, the value drivers in a business, because we talk about, businesses are going to sell. There's science to pricing a business, but understand the value drivers, which are the key elements of a business that are going to determine, if a business is going to sell in the upper range of the business or the lower range, and if the business is going to sell at all, and how to solve problems. And that's what I look like. A buyer comes to me, they want to buy a business because they've been displaced from corporate America, or they've come here, or once again they own a business, they want to acquire another business, or they've come from another country. So I understand what they're looking for. I know how to look for businesses that will fit their price range, their expertise range. Sellers, once again, want someone who can answer their questions truthfully, straightforward, and help them solve problems, whether it's sales, operations, financial, and help them get things back on track. So once again, it's experience, expertise, attentiveness, to the parties involved, working with attorneys, know what they're looking for, working with landlords. Landlords are, that's why they have the word Lord in their name, because, they already have a paying tenant. And then once again, we're going to be transferring the lease in most cases to a new person. And once again, getting the buyer so that they have a credit report, they have a resume, that they can present themselves in a good light to the landlord, so we can have a seamless as possible, a transaction as possible. And once again, if you would do a diagram and put a buyer here and a seller here, and all the parties and advisors that they deal with, and you put me in the middle, I can talk to any party at any time. So sometimes a buyer seller, they have an advisor out there and they can't talk to that party. They don't know that party. So you have a business broker like myself who's experienced, who's worked with landlords and banks and lenders and attorneys, and we can bring people together, because at the end of the day, it's a stressful time that people are going through, selling business, buying business, and the fear of the unknown. And once again, communicating in a professional manner, how you can get through the process, and once again, realize the sale, realize the acquisition of a business. So that would be why. Those are the advantages of working with me: my network, my professional marketing, my understanding of the process, and my successes.
Well, so you're more or less a mediator, third-party liaison to try to bring the parties together to make sure that everybody communicates and the information is transferred in a very honorable way to make sure that everybody's on par with what you're trying to get done. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say, that's what I'm an intermediary. I'm a buffer. I'm the one that brings people together, because oftentimes, as we talked about, if a seller's going to try to sell business on their own, there is no buffer, and the buyer's going to come straight at it and go, hey, give me this, and that. And, those things are all important. But once again, you have to take it and control the flow of information. You have to make representation, but you also have to make sure that, you're protected as you go through the sale process. I share with buyers all the time, we're going to get you everything that you need to know to make a good business decision, everything, without destroying the seller's business as you go through the process. Because if you have the right to back away, then it's step by step by step, and once again, and getting you comfortable and confident with the transaction.
I want to go over a point you mentioned earlier, and that's about buyers overestimating what their actual business is worth. How long do you think it takes for you to try to bring him down to earth, so to speak? You know what I mean, Marty? And get back to reality about, everybody wants to get as much as they can for it, but then you have to come up with enough facts. This is really what it's worth, and how difficult is it, or simple is it, to try to get them, I hate to say the eating humble pie, because nowadays we always shoot for the stars and have to come down to reality. But tell us a little bit more about that process, Marty.
Okay, well, sellers, once again, we talk about that. They have an idea. They've heard from this. They've gone online. They've looked at that. But the fact is that we've sold thousands and thousands of business, and we have access to records on businesses in a particular industry or businesses that have sold at a certain financial category or size. So once again, there has to be some science involved in it. And once again, you go to the value drivers of a business that can drive the value of a business up, or it can drive the value of a business down, such as, these key elements that are involved in value drivers, the quality of the lease, the quality of the books and records, the levels of management that you have, the barriers to entry. These are all important things. The marketplace, the competitiveness of the business, all these things are kind of come into play when valuing a business. So if you have a business that's a Monday through Friday business, and a buyer can learn the business in a month or 2 or 3. There's no special licenses or something like that. It's a very marketable, easy business to transfer. And once again, it's a long-established business with varying clients from, and there's no client concentration issues. Those businesses sell for more money. So, but I can give you an example. I sold a business about 2 years ago, and it was a great business. It had excellent books and records, did about $1 million a year. Made about $250,000. It was the front page of the tax return were beautiful records. So he paid himself a salary. He had net earnings. So the value of the business, was pretty good. And we went to the marketplace. But one thing the seller lacked to tell me was that 2 customers made up 90% of his business. 2 customers. One customer was like 60%. Another customer was 30%. And then there were varying customers that made up the remainder percentage of the business. So, the seller thought, I make all this money, my business should sell for a whole bunch of money. And on the surface, we thought maybe it would. But in reality, when we started coming in and asking more questions, we realized there was a major client concentration issue. And it turned a lot of buyers away, and it drove down the price, the value of the business. We finally found a buyer that was in a similar industry, and we took the steps where we did a financial due diligence first, and the buyer approved that. And then the seller was willing to take the buyer to these 2 customers, have a conversation, assure the buyer that they would do business post-sale, and there was plenty of work, and we were able to sell the business. But once again, things come up, and the value of a business, can be challenged because it's either too high because of the conditions of how they run the business. In regards to a buyer, buyers say, well, I'm not paying that. Once again, sometimes you have to educate them that that businesses like this have historically sold for this. The business is it's in a good way. It's got good books and records. It's got a lot of customers. They've got good employees. They've got good vendors, and the future, the potential of this business is excellent. It's said that that risk is a factor of or value is a factor of risk and potential. So once again, that comes into it's just educating buyers and educating a seller.
Good information, Marty. So one other question I have before we wrap up the broadcast. Would you say your top types of businesses are like in-home businesses, whether it's alarm sales, home improvement companies, air conditioning companies, or give me 3 or 4 types of businesses that would rank amongst your most common top clients?
Well, most common type of clients, really varying. I just sold a solar contractor. I sold an air conditioning contractor. I've sold restaurants. I've sold dry cleaners. I've sold lawn care, land maintenance, businesses. I have pool repair and maintenance businesses. I have floor maintenance businesses. I have sign companies. I have all types of businesses, and I have sold them from aviation to at the beginning of the broadcast, as I said, all the way to X-ray, or I can't say xylophone, but I have sold musical instrument business and in a music school before. But you can find somewhere in the alphabet for for all types of businesses. All types of businesses. I've sold a lot of businesses, almost 200 businesses over my career. And once again, if I haven't sold that type of business, someone in my company has. So, there are a lot of restaurants, and I've sold a lot of restaurants because there are a lot of restaurants. So a business broker should know how to sell a restaurant, and you should know how to sell a hair salon. So I've sold a lot of those. I can say that, probably between those two industries, maybe that's 20% of my business, but it's not my entire business. I have expertise in a lot of industries, and if it's a good business, I can sell it. If it's a transferable business, I can sell it and have sold it, or someone in my company has.
Very good. All right. So just so you know, folks, for more information, call Marty at 954-296-2995 or email mfishman@twworld.com.
That's mfishman@twworld.com.
I thought that's what I said. All right. Well, we'll make sure we get that right. mfishman@twworld.com for a confidential, no obligation conversation on how much your business may be worth. And I'll tell you what, if you don't watch this video, then shame on you, because Marty provides us with a lot of good information on this broadcast. And Marty, I know you get your word out there through networking groups and make yourself visible. What are other ways that you're able to get yourself out there amongst people to pass the word along?
Well, I'm always available to speak on the process of selling a business, increasing the value of a business, working with buyers and working with sellers. So I'm always available, for your association, or whether it's CPAs, financial advisors, attorneys, or just maybe your civic association. I like to go out and speak in front of people on the process of buying and selling a business. So I do that, and once again, appearing on broadcasts like this, and my network of prior sellers and prior buyers. That's my number one referral network is prior customers.
Very good. All right. Well, just so you know, folks, this is South Florida Tribune Podcast. My name is Scott Morganroth. I'm joined today by Marty Fishman. He's a business broker with Transworld Business Advisors in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Marty is your one-stop. If you're looking for a good business broker, I've got him right here on my screen. He knows his stuff, and I'm very delighted to have you on the broadcast. So just so you folks know, if you want to follow the South Florida Tribune, you can follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. I'll repeat again, at Tribune South. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, South Florida Tribune. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. Marty has. We appreciate that. Thank you very much, Marty. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com, and it's a very complete website. We have media distribution partners, and you can also, our columnists, and you can also find the broadcast there. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And you can catch me on LinkedIn, Scott Morganroth, as well. If you want to hear the audio version of this broadcast, you can do so with Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So, folks, it's really been a pleasure having Marty Fishman on the broadcast today. And, Marty, you know what? I think this is something that people, if they're interested in selling their business, then once again, I'm going to go over your contact information one more time for those of you that did not get it. So for more information, call Marty at 954-296-2995 or email Marty at M, as in Mary, Fishman, at tworld.com for a confidential, no obligation conversation how much your business may be worth. Marty's got a wealth of experience, and I can rest assured you'll benefit by every last bit of it. So, Marty, thank you very much for joining us here on the South Florida Tribune Podcast, and we wish you nothing but the best. and it's been a great opportunity. I've learned a lot from this broadcast, and I can rest assured that a lot of people will as well. Thank you very much, Marty.
Thanks, Scott.